Welcome to Manifested Publishers. My name is Mr. Bernard Mariga. I'll be teaching you Advanced Management Accounting, and today I want us to talk about expected value of perfect information, which is one of the subtopics in planning and decision making. Now, the expected value of perfect information is the value that you are going to get when you obtain perfect information. And the expected value of perfect information can be determined by taking your expected monetary value with perfect information, minus your expected monetary value without perfect information. So basically, expected value of perfect information, this we can simply summarize it as the value you obtain of flawless information. Information. I will start by showing you how you determine the value of perfect information using the payoff table. Using your payoff table. You can also determine the value of perfect information using your decision tree. But let me start by determining the value of perfect information using which method? Using payoff table. So using the payoff table, and we will go to a question on December 2024. 4C. Let's go to question 4C. Should be question 4C. Though we will need to use information on 4B. 4C is saying Lambda Investment Enterprise Limited is contemplating acquiring perfect information from an investment research firm about the viability of the investment opportunities. The investment research firm is willing to provide perfect information about the investment project at a cost of 30 million. Required. Using suitable computations, advise Lambda Investment on whether or not to acquire the perfect information from the investment research firm. All right. Now, so what we need to do is we determine our value of perfect information by getting the expected monetary value with perfect information minus the expected monetary value without perfect information. So as to do that, we need to prepare a payoff table. So let's have the states of nature, and in this case, your states of nature were what and what? Remember, your states of nature, we've said, they are those events that cannot be controlled by management, and they should have prior probabilities if you're dealing with risk. And this was your economic conditions. This is your economic conditions, which was optimistic with a probability of 0.3, most likely with a probability of 0.4, and pessimistic with a probability of 0.3. Your decision alternative was here or will be here. You can either invest in corporate, shopping mall, and lastly, residential area. And then we now represent our payoffs. Let's represent our payoffs. 100,000, 70,000, 130,000. Shopping mall, 110,000, 90,000, 90,000. Residential, 90,000 is your payoff. 120,000 and 70,000. 170 what? 1,000. Now that we have drawn our what? Payoff table, let's determine our expected monetary value with perfect information. Your expected monetary value with perfect information will require that you select the highest payoff for each state of what? Nature. For optimistic, that is your highest payoff. For most likely, that is your highest payoff. For pessimistic, that is your highest payoff. Then these highest payoffs here, you multiply by your probabilities. Why? If you knew under optimistic that the shopping mall is the best decision you could make, there is the most likely chance or the best decision is to choose what? Shopping mall. If under most likely you knew that the residential results in the most payoffs or the highest payoff, you're going to select what? Residential. In pessimistic, if you had enough information and knew that the corporate is the one with the highest what? Payoff, you would have selected what? Corporate. And that is why we say this expected monetary value with perfect information, which is your maximum payoffs of each what? State of nature. Then you multiply by your who? Probabilities. Remember, expected, you must multiply with your probabilities. And how will that be? You're going to say it is 110,000 with a probability of 0.3 plus 120,000 with a probability of who? 0.4 plus 130,000 with a probability of 0.3 with a probability of 0.3. 110 by 0.3 plus 120 by 0.4 plus 130 by 0.3. So expect how much? That your expected monetary value with perfect information will be how much? Will be 120,000. The next thing I want us to do is to determine your expected monetary value without perfect information. Expected monetary value without perfect information. And the expected monetary value without perfect information is simply your EMV, your maximum expected monetary value. And how did we get your expected monetary value? You simply take your payoffs by the probability. For example, corporate. We have done this previously. Corporate, you're going to take 100,000 by who? By 0.3 plus 70,000 by who? 0.4 plus 130,000 by 0.3. Then shopping mall, 110,000 by 0.3 plus 90,000 by 0.4 plus 90,000 by 0.3. Residential area, 90,000 by 0.3 plus 120,000 by 0.4 plus 70,000 by 0.3 by 0.3. 100 times 0.3 plus 70 times 0.4 plus 130 times 0.3. This should be 97,000. Shopping mall, 110 times 0.3 plus 90 times 0.4 plus 90 times 0.3. That should be 96,000. 90 times 0.3 plus 120 times 0.4 plus 70 times 0.3. 96. But remember, using the expected monetary value approach, you normally select the one with the highest. So this is what? 97. This is your EMV. 97, 96, and 96. So you select the highest. That is the highest. Okay? So therefore, the expected monetary value of perfect information will be your expected monetary value with perfect information of how much? 120,000 minus your expected monetary value without perfect information, which is the highest EMV, it is 97,000. So 120 minus 97, which is how much? 23,000. 23,000. 23 what? 1,000. That is the value that you expect to obtain when you acquire perfect information. When we say acquire perfect information, is where you can hire a company. Then when you hire that company, the value they will give you is worth how much? 23,000. But part C of that question, they are asking advice on whether or not to acquire perfect information. So here what you will do, you will simply now compare the value of perfect information and the cost of acquiring that perfect information. The cost of acquiring perfect information is how much? 30 million, so 30,000. So when you acquire perfect information, it will be worth how much? 23. But how much do you expect to incur for it? 30. So therefore, what will you advise them? You will advise them, do not acquire perfect information. Why? Because it is more expensive to acquire than the cost you're going, the value you're going to obtain, So you're going to advise them not to acquire perfect information because it is far much expensive. The cost outweighs the value you obtain. That is how you deal with expected value of perfect information, but using what? Payoff table. Using payoff what? Table. So remember, it is simply the difference between expected monetary value with perfect information minus expected monetary value without perfect information. And we've said the expected monetary value without perfect information, simply you must determine your EMV, expected monetary value, then the maximum. I hope that is clear.